how many downloads of Jim and Bill It's Another Day podcast?
Today, the podcast show has fetched 400 million downloads since its start, and an average of 350,000 downloads per episode, about 3.9 million downloads per week.
Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Hope everything's going well for you today, sir. But, it always goes well once you get that first swig of right side coffee.
Don't you love how he slides into that, folks? Really. He says that as he picks up his cup of coffee, too. No, it's true. Right Side Coffee is a perfect blend of some of the finest roasted coffee beans you can find anywhere on this planet. And we have it right in our little Right Side Coffee package, which you can buy and you can have at your doorstep in a matter of days. Just go to rightsideshop.com, rightsideshop.com, and you'll see all of our other, as Bill would say, swag, and you can scroll down and see the package of Jim and Bill's Right Side Coffee. It's a medium roast blend. We also have a medium decaf roast blend for those of you who have to limit your caffeine intake. Okay, we've thought about you too. Mm-hmm. It's a great cup of coffee. Nice way to start your day. And by the way, when you buy a package of Right Side Coffee, it's not just that you're getting the coffee. You're also helping us out here at the program because we're trying to expand our audience. We've done what we've done so far with actually no promotion at all. It's just been word of mouth, which has been phenomenal. We just started our fourth year. We do about 4 million streams and downloads a week, which is a lot for a show with no promotion. People have found the show all over the globe. We figured that if we can promote it properly, like we used to do in radio, both of us worked in radio, we have a lot of experience in that end of the business. If we promote the show properly, we can build the program significantly more. We would appreciate your help. And in doing so, you get a package of Right Side Coffee, too, which is a great cup of coffee.
And when you drink that coffee, we are going to burn the jingle into your head with live, because the guys are in studio.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Going to burn it into your head. I like that. It's Juan Jose and the Border Crossers. They're internationally known and probably internationally wanted, too. They are here, and they're all set. They've been tuning their instruments for the last hour, and they're ready to do their big moment on the program. Guys, if you would.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Magnificent. Juan Jose and the Border Crossers with their jingle.
And what's amazing, every time they sing it, it's just like the first time.
That's true. I've noticed that. They're consistently good, sort of like our coffee. Sort of like the coffee is consistently good. Well, Juan, Jose, and the Border Crossers are consistently good.
Consistently not good is what goes on around the world and in politics, and especially in California these days. I'll tell you what, that story. Now, a lot of stories have been out there. Maui burned.
Yeah.
It didn't last that long. North Carolina got flooded, washed away, and nobody paid attention to it.
Yeah.
But, a lot of, what's going on, you're losing an entire city, which I think is kind of, I got my feelings on it. You know what they are.
Well, I got to tell you, you can't say that we haven't got a feeling president, somebody who has a heart.
Feelings. How about $770?
Yeah, he and Kamala sat in a Zoom conference yesterday, and he said this.
And I want to be clear. We're not waiting until those fires are over to start helping the victims. We're getting them help right now, as you all know. People impacted by these fires are going to receive one-time payment of $770, one-time payment, so they can quickly purchase things like water, baby formula, and prescriptions. So far, nearly 6,000 survivors have registered to do just that, and $5.1 million has gone out.
You just lost your house, all your property, right?
You're
living
$770 that up.
Yeah,
trick.
But they make you have to apply, which if you deal with the government, that's not like a simple thing. You have to probably fill out an application, where you live, where was your property, how much did you lose? I mean, $770.
Yeah, are you going to vote for Democrats again,
Yeah, right. What I also don't understand, Bill, is they will, with a snap of a finger, he throws billions and billions of dollars into the Ukraine. I mean, just like that. It's no question, no application forms. It's just sent by the pallet load. Yet, for the Americans who lost everything, who live in Southern California, well, you have to fill out an application. And he says twice, as if he's giving the money out of his own wallet. It's a one-time fee, a one-time payment, a one-time payment. Like, let me get this straight. You get it once, $770. That's like a couple of good grocery shoppings, and you're done.
It's amazing out there, too, because there were just a couple of days ago, they were up to 96,000 people saying, get the mayor out of there, make her resign. And they were signing the petition. They were signing the petition for Newsom to be gone. And they say that a move may be going into effect this week, maybe even today, to get him out of the governorship. Yet he talks like, oh, I'm going to be here. We're going to rebuild this city. We're going to do this and this and this. And, of course, the Olympics coming up. We're going to build this futuristic city, this cyber city, an AI city, going to be like in Blade Runner or whatever. And I'm sitting there going, this guy, is totally ignoring the fact that he failed, he lost, and yet he just seems to know that he's going to be in charge anyway.
Well, the first thing that came to this guy's mind, I guarantee you, was not how are these people doing, is how is this going to affect my candidacy? How is this going to affect my career? Oh, this is not good for me. This is how these people think. I mean, seriously, folks, say you're the governor of California, and you have something like this happen. You first thing you do is you grab your coat and you get down there, and he did, but he got there. I swear to God, he stopped in makeup before he got down to the location. His hair was impeccably combed, and he was, he looked the part. And this is not good. There are people who are suffering, who have lost everything. Yes, there's the Mel Gibsons and the like who've lost everything, but thank God Mel Gibson has more resources than the average person, and I'm sure he's able to find another. He probably has another house in California he can stay at. That's how. Well,
and maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but his attitude is right. Like, these are material things. You're going to miss them, but life goes on. Whether you want to sit there and cry and boo-hoo over it, or you just pick up,
Maybe he doesn't have another house in California, but like every Hollywood star out there, I'm sure they have their own private jet, and he can fly to any nice hotel anywhere. I'm just saying that's what Leonardo DiCaprio did. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't stop to talk to the media like Mel did. Mel was good enough to have communication with the world. Okay, here's what happened. We lost it. It's just stuff, and we'll get on. But Leonardo DiCaprio, he just hopped on his private jet with his friends and whatever, and off to Mexico City he went, to get away from it all. Like, I can't deal with this.
Mexico City, so he went south.
He went south, yeah. He went down to Mexico. But it's interesting. We have a situation that Joe Biden, the Democrats caused the problem, friends. I'm sorry. They've run California for, 2 decades, 3 decades? They've run California. I mean, you would think they would have the best fire department. They would have the best equipment. They knew that there were fires in that area. You would have thought they would have had an incredible plan in place to swat those fires down so they don't spread. They were the most half-ass group of Keystone firemen. I mean, you've heard of the Keystone cops, with their arms and legs all over the place in the back of the fire engine. I mean, on the police station, a police car. I'm really into this today, folks. I got a lot to say. This is not how a state should be run. A state never should be run like this. You would think you're a taxpayer. You send your money out every year, and damn it, if you don't send it out, you'll hear from them. You would think they would take that money and they would utilize it properly, not send all of your equipment, your fire equipment, off to the Ukraine. Mm-hmm. They did that, Bill. They sent the damn Los Angeles fire equipment, a lot of it, off to the Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah, they did that a while back. And but what's going on with them? There's a history of neglect and whatnot, and I can't help but think now they're blaming the fires. First we thought it was something sparked it up in the Santa Ana winds, but the fires were catching in different places. People they've seen people out there, even the FBI arson inspectors out investigating, looking around, saying, yeah, there's evidence of arson.
ATF arson investigators up by the hiking trail at the summit of the Pacific Palisades.
Yeah. But now, well, are there high wires up there?
I'm sorry?
Are there high wires up there, electrical lines up there?
I don't know, Bill. That's a good question.
No,
I don't think so. I don't.
No, I see. Neither do I. So it is a good question, because now they're saying, well, the power lines probably started these fires. They're not saying they did. They're throwing that out there, saying the power line started the problem because they were built for 90-kilometer-an-hour winds, and these winds exceeded 150 kilometers per hour, so they couldn't take them. They fell down. They're going to blame it on the power company now.
No, this is you can have pictures like I've seen. I mean, it's online. You can go. You can see for yourself. Don't take my word for it, friends. Just do a search. Fire starters, L.A. fire, Southern California. There are pictures out there. And there are pictures of people with those hand blow torches. They're lit, and they're spreading the fires.
Yep.
I don't know what they need. The fact of the matter is, part of the word is on the internet is that they're illegals doing this. Why would illegals burn Southern California? Well, they're probably getting paid.
Yeah, it's a job, and I don't know if I want to throw out the speculation out there, but it was one that I had. If you want to see what's happening now and in the future, look to the past. And LA's got a past, and so does Chicago, a city that burned to the ground. Mrs. O'Leary's cows knocked over a lantern and burned down the whole city.
I never believed that story ever.
Well, I did some research, and because I had heard that was a bunch of crap. And as it turned out, there was a lot of speculation back then that the fire was deliberately set because the city was old and run down. So a better way to rebuild it than to have a massive fire. And then all of a sudden they said, well, it's got to be rebuilt. Boy, we can be bigger and better and brighter, a brighter shining star than New York. And we'll have the what was they called it? The Magnificent or Miracle Mile, Magnificent Mile. So they did that. And all of a sudden
it was a wooden city, an old wooden city before the fire. That's why it burned so quickly. Chicago.
Yeah. And there's rumor it was deliberately set, but then they rebuilt it and it was back, and that's what you do with a major city. But then they went in and they said, the people that own this property, it's in the way of modernization. So they eminent domained it. So they got pennies on the dollar for what they had, and the government took over it. That's how LA got to be, because it was desert. And they wanted to build the biggest city in L.A. So, what was it? William Mulholland. He an immigrant of Irish descent, but he was a self-taught engineer and either way, civil engineer. He came in and he built the aqueducts. He built the reservoir, and they irrigated it. And they also took farmland and whatnot. That was the basis of the movie Chinatown. Not that it was a historical event of that, but it was based on that, where they did the murder thing where somebody came to investigate. But either way, it talked about the water wars of L.A. L.A. came to be. L.A. has outgrown itself. It's an old, dilapidated, overpopulated city.
Yeah.
So the question is,
see, the thing is, I don't think a lot of people are saying, well, it's the deep state that did it, and I think it's more sinister. I think it's actually terrorism. I think that we are going to see more of this. I think we've already seen more. We've looked at L.A. like that's the first bit of terrorism, and I think there are a whole bunch of terrorist acts that have happened over the last couple of years in our country that have never been labeled terrorism. And I think East Palestine, Ohio, that little town suffered from an act of terrorism. It's just a rail that split and it hopped the track. Nah, there've been trains going up and down those tracks for decades, and there's something more to that too. And they also handled it poorly. What happened in Maui? We talk about Maui. Have they ever brought that area back, or is it's never going to be the same again, I guess? And they, Bill, they couldn't find a lot of people in Maui, and I don't know whether they ever accounted for those people, and nobody's talking about it. If you had lost 2,000 people and couldn't account for 2,000 people, you would have thought that would have been the topic of conversation to this day. And
well, you got to wonder the power of the fire. There was talk about planes and energy weapons. So you got to sit there and go like a nuclear bomb where they eviscerated, just they're gone, Yeah. So there's nothing to find.
Well, you had a friend who was a film director who was out in that area during those the fires, right?
Yeah, he does. I think he works for the NFL films. But and I've done some projects with him. But he was there. He got footage. And he was talking about the people that were just trapped in their vehicles, burned to a crisp. Some of the people out in the water burned everywhere. But it was like there was a swath, too, that just the fire swept through.
Yeah, didn't he say also that he'd come to the area and it was fine, and like that, it was on
gone.
fire. It was gone, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that there's been land grabs going on out in Maui now, but it's the Oprahs and the whatnots that are
right
sucking up the
Mark
property.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, now, was that done for their privilege? I mean, I don't know. There's so many things you can speculate on that you just go, well, nobody's that dark and evil, but yeah, I think they are. And L.A.
What I'd like to know, Bill, is it normal for us to lose over 100 food processing plants in the course of like a year and a half? Is that does that happen all the time, that food processing plants will burn to the ground normally?
Well, if you ask the left media, they'll say, oh, yeah, it is. It's just you're paying attention now. It's not gone on all the time. I don't believe that.
Neither do I.
I believe that there's something, thanks to the internet and everybody with cameras on their phone.
Yeah.
We're seeing more things now than we've ever seen before, so we're paying attention, which, by the way, is why the mainstream media has gone to hell in a handbasket. Everybody knows they can't believe them for the truth anymore. There are people, whether LA is on fire because of nature, neglect, or by design, or all of the above.
Yeah.
They're looking at rebuilding that city and taking advantage of it. Who's going to pay for it? Well, you and I. And they've had digs and designs to turn that into the city of the future. And now that's what they're going to do. But it makes you wonder, if we're going to spend that much money, $150 billion or more, and we're so far in debt, but money is apparently not as big a thing in this country as we're led to believe.
What Gavin Newsom alluded to yesterday, and he did it with a smile, which looked sinister to me, was that they were looking into, like you said, eminent domain and repurposing areas, obviously paying the people something for their property. He did mention it in a press conference, and it was brought up on one of the TV shows I watch on a regular basis, and I thought, this is sick. The fires haven't been here for a week yet, and he's already talking about grabbing the people's property. Where are these people going to go who have houses and they've lost everything? Are they going to be able to rebuild on their own property, or will they just come along and say it's no longer safe to live here, and we've decided that this is going to be a different zoned area, and you'll have to find another place to live? It doesn't seem fair, and we're not being told the whole story. this is a full court press, by the way, with this leftist administration we have. There's no other way of calling the Biden administration anything but the left. Do you know he claimed yesterday in a press conference, Biden did, that it was his threat that is forcing Hamas to hand over 33 hostages. No, it was Donald Trump was saying, when I get in, hell will pay. And that's why they're handing the hostages over. The guy's shameless. The guy is shameless.
He also was out there and gave 150 million more people loan forgiveness, student debt forgiveness.
Yeah.
Kamala did a wipe of debt too.
He took credit for something else too, and I'm trying to think of what it was. It was a Trump thing that Trump definitely did, and Biden took credit for it. And I can't think of exactly what it was. I'll think of it as the program progresses. But he's not. This is not an honest guy, Biden. I'm talking about. He threw out a comment about Afghanistan and the people that we lost. You know, he's never mentioned the names of the 13 people who died on the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
He doesn't know their names.
Well, I'd like, maybe that's the case. You know, maybe the great excuse is he can always use his dementia. But he said in passing, and those 13 brave people who died in the withdrawal, never mentioned their names in the time that he's been in office. The guy is delusional, and he's also evil. We dodged a bullet with Kamala because she's a nincompoop. She was in that conference, that Zoom call yesterday where they were talking to people in government about the fires and the response to the fires in Southern California. I want you to hear how clear thinking she is. Listen.
And so it's critically important that, to the extent you can find anything that gives you an ability to be patient in this extremely dangerous and unprecedented crisis, that you do.
She can't speak succinctly and clearly. She tries to sound thoughtful, and in doing so, she gets herself lost. She can't do a clear thought and make it simple. She tries to do this in intellectual narration, and it always gets her screwed up. She is, but they deserve each other. Joe, they were sitting in the same room. There must have been some evil eyes in that little meeting yesterday. They don't like each other. Kamala sits next to Jill Biden at the funeral for Jimmy Carter, and they didn't talk. I don't even think they gave them
that whole thing kind of crazy at the Carter's funeral. Of course, now she posted a picture where deliberately cropped out Trump and Melania. But the interesting thing too is when you see the whole picture, every president came in, former president.
Yeah.
And their wife was seated opposite of that she was to her husband. She actually went and let him pass over, so she put separation between her and Donald Trump. I believe the wives were to the left of the husband on the right. For her, she was on the right, and he was on the left as a buffer. And I'm like going, she was the oddball in that.
She gave the evil eye to Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Barack Obama and Donald Trump were having what seemed to be a friendly conversation. They were smiling and laughing. And at one point, Kamala looked over his shoulder at them, and it was all daggers. It was all daggers. She was not happy with Barack, I'm sure. But Barack went to the funeral, and he went alone.
Yeah, where was Michelle? Michelle has been mysteriously gone.
Well, I got a lot of things. My thoughts on Michelle. I don't think we know her whole story either.
Where do you think he was?
I have no idea where he was.
He was at the gym working out.
I'm sure he was, yes. Maybe his makeup department wasn't available to get him ready. The inauguration is less than a week away. I wonder if she'll go to the inauguration, Michelle.
I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if some other shenanigans happen. You've got the LA thing, but at some point in time, the focus is going to shift. Now, there was an interesting thing, not to get derailed here, but Marjorie Taylor Greene on a plane to D.C. gets rerouted. Why? Drones.
Yeah. How far is D.C. from New Jersey? Not that far, folks. By the way the crow flies or the drone flies.
I gotta wonder what's going on with that because, now I remember 911 and the planes. Now, I guess that one plane that hit the Pentagon, I guess, was really intended for the Capitol, or there was another one intended for that. Maybe that was the one that was crashed in Pennsylvania, right, where they got a hold of it, the passengers, and pretty much forced it down.
Right.
But either way, there are jets that scramble, and
we've been told this, Bill, and they also have gun installations on the roofs of many of the buildings in Washington. People don't know that.
Why weren't they active that day? Well,
that's just it. Can they see the drones? Are the drones so small? They have to be able to see the drones. They're run by radio signal, I would imagine. So at the very least, you would pick up the radio signal somewhere along the way. There's got to be some sophisticated monitoring. But yet the drone got over the White House yesterday.
Yeah. Well, stealth technology is the reflection of things. And one of the ways that they were able to kind of figure out with our stealth fighters when they were coming was through cellular signals, because there's such an array of signals, you can't reflect all of that away. And so, there is a way of tracking stealth technology. I'm sure they change it all the time, but it's not like it's invisible, because that's...
By the time we know about our stealth technology, they've got something else. Trust me.
Yeah.
Don't think that we're seeing the latest, greatest, because by the time it's released to the public, this is our new stealth jet. They've probably got something else already in the Skunk Works chain there, production line being developed. The FBI did a briefing yesterday. There's a lot of people talking about the inauguration and their concerns about safety. And I'll be honest with you, when you hear about what happens over the White House yesterday, the drone, I think we have reason to be concerned, because if a drone can get over the White House, it probably can get over the Capitol too. But here's what the FBI said.
We are not currently tracking any specific or credible threats to the inaugural ceremony or to the Capitol complex. We will continue to work closely with our partners to share information and identify and disrupt any threats that may emerge.
Yeah, well, how'd that work out for you in Butler, Pennsylvania? We still don't know what happened, by the way, in Butler. We still don't have any idea, really, what happened in Butler. We do know about the failure. We do know that Thomas Matthew Crooks did fire on President Trump and hit him in the ear. We don't know whether there was a second shooter. They really haven't been clear about that. There's so much that they just don't tell us. They expect us to become disinterested quickly and to move on. We are supposed to forget about it, just forget about it and move along. There's nothing to see here. I think people are getting tired of that. I really do. And I do think that if I were Trump, if I were handling the inauguration, I would say, Mr. President, it is my recommendation that you take the oath of office inside the Capitol, under the dome. We'll set it up nice and very official, very stately, and we will have cameras in there, and we'll send the image of the swearing in to the big screens all around the area and to television sets all around the world, and everybody will see you being sworn in. But the snipers, but the drones, they won't see you because you won't be in any line of fire. And I do worry about that. I worry sincerely about that. I worry for this man's health, There are so many sinister people in this world, far more than I even thought of when I was a younger man. There are some bad actors out there who would like nothing more than to hurt this man and to hurt the American public.
You know, they're doing a full court press on, hearings for the guys that he has appointed. The Democrats are slow with the paperwork. They're dragging things. Why are they foot dragging? Trump's president. He's going in. This guy is going to be in one way or the other. Unless they think there's something going on, which I kind of believe, the deep state and maybe the certain people there in the know or in the coots. They said he would never step foot in the White House. What would happen if something bad happened to Trump?
I do not have an answer for that. I don't know. We're in uncharted waters here, and I think that nothing can be trusted. I hope President Trump has the best security people advising him. I mean, not only are there deep state people who want him dead, but we know Iran wants him dead. They've done videos on it. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think's going to happen?
That's crapshoot there. I mean, that's like asking me what the lottery numbers are going to be. I might get one or two right, but that's about it. And lately, I haven't gotten any right. So,
yeah, me too. Ever wonder whether that's a big scam? Think about that for a second. Everybody says, you give a few bucks every week on an ongoing basis, and some unknown person out in Timbuktu wins $300 million, and you never see their face, and they're never promoted anymore. You don't see them on TV waving the check. Nope. Yeah, I don't know. And I keep doing it, though, because in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, you can't win if you don't play.
Yeah, well, I don't know about money and debt and everything, because the simple fact is I kind of believe that, that national debt, it's just there to, it's a distraction for us. I've wondered why we wouldn't do a national lottery. To sit there, there's trillions of dollars that are in the hands of the American people. Trillions.
Yeah.
And that we ourselves as a nation can pay off that debt, believe it or not. But we don't.
Well, I think that you have dishonest people running the government. We talked about Trump. They're already trying to nail Trump for things that he couldn't possibly have done because he hasn't been a president. They're trying to blame the fires on Trump. Trump has not been in office for 4 years. It's been Joe Robinette Biden. But yet there are people out there who are blaming Trump's environmental policies as the reason for the fires. Trust me, folks, he will be under fire, under siege from day one in office. He's going to sign over 100 executive orders as soon as he's sworn in. You watch how the media jumps all over for the stuff that he signs.
They're sitting in the wings right now with at least 10 impeachment documents that they're going to drop either all at once or they're going to start dropping them because they are going to tie him up in court. They're going to block everything they can that he's doing. They are set up to make this administration fail. So that means they do not have the will and the heart of the nation at hand. It's all about power and control.
Well, I mean, look at getting back to what we talked about at the top of the show. If you cared about our people in Southern California, you wouldn't send them $770 and a pat on the back. You would maybe stop doing a lot of your aid to strangers, bring that money back and pour it into that area to revitalize it and give people hope. Maybe you might say to people who lost a $500,000 house or more, look as a nation, we're covering you. This was an extraordinary situation. We have the money, and you just proved to us that you own that property and there's a loss. And as a nation, one time only, forget $770. I want you and your family to know that we're going to take care of you because it was a failure on the part of state and local government. And
I got a question for you. We're talking about rebuilding that city. Now that city sits on sinking ground. I mean, when I say that because of the San Andreas fault, the earthquakes that go there. Well, the big one could happen anytime. San Francisco the same way. If there was a thing where San Francisco was destroyed, would you rebuild the city where it sits, or would you move it?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time a city's been moved.
Yeah, but now the question is, you've got like 8 million people in the heart of LA. Now, there have been hundreds of thousands of people that have moved out of California, and that's a lot of people to displace. You know, you talk about the housing market. You know, these people get displaced all over the country, and somebody's going, "Hey, I'm going to buy a new home." Well, no, the market just changed.
I would imagine, Bill, a lot of the people who lost their homes in Southern California are going to move out of California.
Yeah.
Never again. The incompetence in that government, it's intolerable, and it can't be. It can't happen again. If I owned a house and I lost my house to a fire because of incompetence by government, and a continued existence of that government, meaning they screwed up. The fires happened because of their failure, but yet no one's leaving office. The governor's still there. Karen Bass, the mayor, is still there. Everything's fine. Don't look at us. It's not our fault. It's somebody else.
Yeah, they're shifting the blame any which way they can, which is, you know, why they're trying to blame it on the power lines now. So PG&E's fault? Is that who, their power lines fell down because they couldn't handle the winds? Well, then there would have been even more fires than the ones that were. You know, the fires don't make sense where and how they started.
And when you say to your officials, we're going to give you $50 million to go after Trump. $50 million to go after Trump. That's what happened. Didn't they approve? They approved $50 million. The Democrats in California to go after Trump. Trump's not even in office yet.
No, is this the voters or the politicians?
Oh, the politicians. There's been no voting.
Oh, their priorities are screw you, the voting public.
Yes.
You want to get Trump because he no good for California. California is no good for itself. But you know what? If they let that stand, the people let it stand, and they let it stand, then I, for one, somebody ought to put forward a bill that none of my tax dollars go to help California. And I hate to say that, but the people have to stand up for themselves and stand up against the BS that's going on in that state.
I think Trump is not going to just hand over recovery money without stipulations. In the past, they have. In the past, they've said to California, here's so many millions of dollars for reconstruction or whatever, and take care of it. I think this time around, Trump is going to say, okay, we're prepared to give you guys millions of dollars of taxpayer funds, but we want to know what you're going to do with that money and how you're going to make it work for the people who are suffering, and not for you guys in Sacramento. This is when I hear people talking about how they're going to go after Trump already. When you just said to me about there's already impeachment orders in place, that's sick. That's sick. And people are fed up with this. First of all, Trump is not going to be removed from office. He can't impeach him because if the Republicans don't stand side by side for that, then forget it. The Republicans are going to sign their own death warrant because the people expect the Republicans to lock arms, especially if the Democrats try to roll out impeachment articles against President Trump for no good reason.
Well, we haven't learned our lesson. I mean, everyone realizes the news has lied, and they're going to continue to lie, and they're still out there. How they can afford to keep going with the lack of viewers, I don't know. But yet they are the fire starters to all these little hate stories that are out there, and they throw them out.
I just heard they signed Rachel Maddow. They told her she's been doing this. I don't watch MSNBC at all. Okay. Apparently, she was dropped back to one night a week for like $25 million a year. I mean, go figure. I don't know. It doesn't make that is dumb to me. That is dumb, okay? But anyway, now they're telling Rachel Maddow, I understand, that at least for the first 100 days, you got to do 5 nights. I mean, we need you for the first 100 days of Trump's administration for your your expertise, So and I think they also gave her a raise too. So it doesn't make any sense. I worked in broadcasting, folks, for a long time, and the monies that these people are making, it will never make sense to me. It will never make sense to me. Chuck Todd, millions of dollars. George Stephanopoulos making multi-millions of dollars. I mean, the guy is, he's a partisan. He's a hack. He doesn't deserve that.
All right. Yeah. He's clickbait for, for the left to get their story out there. But, Jim Harrington runs for office, and you're going to be a congressman. Your salary is the least you get. You are going to get favor and all kinds of swag, like I say, handed to you in the form of privileges,
trips,
gifts, cash. You are going to, what you get as a perk of being in political power supersedes that $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 that you get a year. It used to be they were about $80,000 to $100,000 a year. It's more than that, but that salary does not compare to all the perks and political favor that they get from people that want to be in your pocket.
There was a time when if you got into the House of Representatives as a young member of Congress, many times you couldn't afford to have a house in your home district where your family lived and have one in D.C., so many times guys would live in their office. They would live in the Capitol building. They would live in their office, and I guess they have showers there and for the congressmen, and they would sleep on either a couch or a cot that they would set up in their office when, after hours. Nowadays, you don't hear that anymore. You don't hear about that kind of sacrifice. Now I think they go down there and they're all set. They got executive housing in the area that they can rent dirt cheap. It is an elitist club in many ways. It really is. There are so many logical things that they should do, Bill. So many logical things they should do in Congress. You say, well, why don't they just do that? There's another reason, because it doesn't benefit them. A lot of these people are selfish. I like James Comer. James Comer, the representative. He's a nice guy, but he hasn't missed an opportunity to be on television in a year and a half. If somebody has a camera and a light, he'll stand in front of it, even if it's not on. And he'll talk about all he's going to do and how he's going to bring down Biden, and Biden's going to go to jail, and everybody gets all worked up, and then he leaves and goes has lunch and forgets about it. Now, I don't mean he forgets about it, but nothing happens. Nothing happened. Lindsey Graham was that way. Lindsey Graham, my God, he's always on television. He probably has his own makeup person.
Yeah, but you know what? He's really not talking to his constituents. He is, but he's talking to potential donors out there and people that have political sway and money, because that's what he's talking to, and that's what he's talking for. That's where it is.
It's not just on the right, by the way. Chuck Schumer's that way too. I mean, God, he loves the camera. He loves being on television. These guys, they have an ego. A lot of it is for ego, but they also, like Bill says, it's for power. Stature. People,
and they're not going to. They'll every once in a while they'll throw you a bone. They'll give you one of the things that you asked for and they promised, but they do a lot of other things too, because to get that power, to get that money, you've got to pay the piper. You've got to pay for it, and it's there for you, and that's what happens.
What's supposed to happen today? I thought this was interesting. I wanted to pass this along. Former Navy SEALs, Green Berets, and veterans are uniting in D.C. to back Pete Hegseth's defense secretary nomination. Reportedly, over 500 veterans are set to march today. I think it's today. Either it's today or tomorrow. In Washington, which I think in support.
Somehow they don't try to rebel rouse, not them, but somebody try to rebel rouse and blame it on them to make a scene.
Could you imagine the audacity if someone tries to use those heroes? And I think when you are a SEAL or a Green Beret, it's not just you're being a veteran. You've actually gone one step beyond, okay, as far as your training goes, maybe two steps beyond the average training. You are an expert in your field, and you're committed to this country. And if anyone tries to use them to hurt them for some political purpose, that's the worst of the worst.
The guy, he was a hero. The guy that apparently committed suicide in front of Trump Tower.
Yeah, he was, I believe, a Green Beret. There's more to that, Bill. There's more to that story. There's so much more to that story. Some people believe, I think we even heard Dr. Stephen Greer say that there was more to the story, and it involved, he mentions, I guess, in his manifesto, was it gravitas, some type of an engine, a gravity engine. A gravity engine. He talked about that. He mentioned that in his dying statement, and he had more. He was trying. Some people think he was trying to warn us about something. I don't know. What is a deathbed manifesto? Can it be trusted? Or is it the rantings of somebody who's confused and not thinking clearly? They're going to kill themselves. Did he kill himself intentionally, or was he forced into it? We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's so many things out there, and perhaps the manifesto he wrote, perhaps he didn't. Perhaps, he was conveniently suicided so that they could release this stuff to, maybe...
You know what I don't understand about that one, Bill? I watched the video of the explosion of that Cybertruck, and there was a guy standing literally about 6 feet, 7 feet away from the car. I mean, just a passerby, somebody who I guess came out of the hotel and was waiting for a cab or something, and he was standing about 7, maybe 8 feet away from the Cybertruck, and then it blew up. But supposedly, before it blew up, the guy had to shoot himself. And apparently he shot himself with a high caliber weapon. I had heard it was a 50 caliber. I don't believe it was. It was a large caliber weapon. Pardon?
He would have no head left, and probably
but you'd hear it.
Out the windows and everything,
But you would have heard it,
Oh yeah, I mean, if you were standing 15, 20 feet away, and you all of a sudden, some.
He didn't do that.
You just looked up when I went.
Yeah, well, he didn't do that, Bill.
No, he didn't eat any flips.
And he was only like 8 feet away from the car. He wasn't that far away. He was close enough that when it exploded, then he ran away from the car. The guy did. Yeah. But he was close enough, definitely, to have heard a gunshot.
Somebody snuck up behind you with a cannon and fired it. You'd jump and turn around and look, but he didn't.
No, he did not. Yep. So there's a lot more. We're not told the story, folks, I'm afraid, about a lot of stuff. This is, again, Maui. We don't know the whole story. We don't know the whole story about the bridge down in Baltimore. We're told a story that a barge ran into it and it fell in under 30 seconds.
Yeah,
I mean, talk about poor construction.
Have you ever noticed when a story like this comes out, right away? Well, this happened. And then, no, that didn't happen. Actually, it was this. No, that didn't happen. Over here, a talking head goes, no, this is it. And another talking head comes in. He committed suicide. Here's the manifesto. They do all these stories, I think, in a deliberate order to sit there and make it seem, it's to confuse us.
And what do we know? What do we know about the second assassination attempt on Trump? With that guy who was hiding in the hedges at the golf course down in Florida. Really? What do we know? We know he was...
We know that at some point in time, all these guys were at the same place.
Yeah. I think that that guy, what was his name, Ralph or something like that? He visited Fort Bragg like 120 times. Why? Why did he go there? And then he went off to Hawaii for a while. Well, that guy, Luigi Mangione, who killed that CEO, he was off in Hawaii for a while, too. Is there some kind of a training op that takes place out there that we don't know of? I don't know.
I mean, some people would say, well, Hawaii is a good place to go on vacation. Ironically, I've been all over the world. I've never gone to Hawaii.
Well, I mean, we know that Maui is gone. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is gone. And I don't know. I think that we have a government that has kept us conveniently dumb. I mean, the public, conveniently stupid. They have never given us the honest truth about anything. I mean, I'm going back to my youth. We were told that Lee Harvey Oswald went up into that sixth floor window and he shot a couple of shots in rapid fire and killed the President Kennedy. That was it, and there's nothing to see here. Move on. And by the way, they wrapped it up conveniently like a television show in like a day. That's it. We don't have to go do any more searching. We don't have any more questions to answer. We don't have to talk about hitmen or deep state or people behind the scenes who were responsible. None of that stuff. None of that stuff. We're being promised now that when Trump gets into office, we're going to see the truth. I hope so. We've waited for a long time.
But who's promising that we'll see the truth?
Well, Trump said he was going to release all the information about the Kennedy assassination and about UFOs, and he's just going to make it public. But why didn't he do it in his first term?
Well, that's true.
I hope to God that he is a bit more upfront with his promises. Here's the thing, Bill. He in his first term, I think a lot of it was he was positioning himself for the second term, and that didn't happen right away. So
what I was going to say, the reason he didn't do it in his first term is he wanted to get to his second term. And when you're a virgin into the White House, they're going, you want to make it to the next term, you can do it, but you're going to do what we tell you to do. Now, they didn't anticipate when they kicked his ass out that he would plant his butt back in the White House and park it. Now he's there. Now they think that he's going to become a dictator and that he's not leaving the White House. The only way that would happen is that if we find out that the government is so corrupt that we're going to have to redo everything, not that he would stay for 10 years, but, there could be something going on.
Well, I think that we're going to see, I'm concerned about next week in the inauguration. I think they're not done. They don't want him. I keep thinking about the words that you've said so many times on this show about the fact that they do not want him to set foot in the Oval Office again.
They said he would never set foot in the Oval Office again. Now, the people that have said that, they have not backed down from those statements. They may not make them as often, but they still stand behind them. Now, I don't know that Barack ever said it, but everyone around him did, and I think that there's an adversarial trust between him and Barack that they don't like each other.
Why?
But they probably respect each other.
What's the old expression? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
And your enemies closer.
Yeah. So I think that Trump is that way. You get a better gauge on what's happening and what can happen if you keep your enemies near you. We are at a precipice, I'm afraid. I think we're at a very critical point in the existence of our country. If anything happens to President Trump, all bets are off. All bets are off. A lot of people in this country, literally their hopes and their dreams are riding on his success.
Well, if something happened to him, would we have a government?
Well, based upon our system, yes, you would have J.D. Vance as the president. And he's articulate and he's smart. I don't think he's President Trump. There's a maverick style, a maverick persona that Trump has. His attitude is it's a one. There are very few people who have it. That's what I'm trying to say. There are very few people who have what Trump has. It's something very special. You saw it when he got shot and he bounced up and he yelled, "Fight, fight, fight." Most people would have said, "Get me out of here," right? No, he got up and he was angry. He was determined. You're not going to get me with that bullet. And by the way, when he did that, there was no proof that the shooters were done. There was no proof that there wasn't another shooter out there waiting for him to bounce up.
They're still not done.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's what I worry about.
Mm-hmm. Hey, a little change of direction here. I last go around for Trump, you didn't see Melania that much. Now you have noticed she's more forefront lately. She's out and she's doing interviews and she's, speaking her mind. And she was asked, where's she going to be? Where's she going to spend most of her time during the Trump administration? The White House.
Yeah, I saw that.
She's going to be more engaged.
Yeah. But what they would love to have had her say is, I don't intend to spend any time in the White House or very little time. I'm going to spend most of my time in Mar-a-Lago or most of my time up near Barron in New York. I mean, they're almost like trying to drive a wedge in the middle of his personal relationship. By the way, she's got strength, that lady, because for her to sit politely and dignified, by President Trump after all of the crap that they have thrown at him, all of the innuendos and insinuations that they've thrown at him, the conviction felon stuff, and he raped E. Jean Carroll, and all of this crap that they threw, and she stood by him with dignity, no comments, no interference, no anything. She just made sure that she wasn't going to be a problem while he handled this problem. And that's a very special person. She is really quite the lady. Yeah, she has the whole package. She has brains, beauty, dignity. The whole thing. She's something else. Again, I would be concerned even sitting on the podium on Inauguration Day, which is what it's Monday, right?
Yeah, I think she worries about it, but I don't think you're going to deter him from going in and doing what he's going to do. And people say, he's a dictator. He's doing it for power and money. He doesn't need power. He's had it before. He still has it. He doesn't need money. He's had it, and he still has it. If anything, this is going to, he's already let it taint his reputation. It's cost him money, but he still tends to make money and keep his status and keep growing. It is not about, ego. It is not about, trying to, get more wealth. He's actually convicted to sit there, or he's got a conviction, not convicted, conviction. Let's get the words right, to right a nation that's so wrong.
Well, the conviction is nonsense, and I think 77 million people, if you ask them, they would say it's crap too. So and President Trump knows that. No one believes it. That was lawfare, done in a lawfare state, and that's that. I wonder if they're going to have. I wonder if they're going to have ballistic. Are they going to have ballistic glass? I wonder on the podium on Inauguration Day. Will they protect him with at least a reinforced ballistic glass?
Let me ask you a question. When he's there, they have the little square side glasses to the side and in front. So someone out, at an angle, like that. I'm going, what if it's somebody that's vetted that is in the staff behind?
Like a suicide attack? Because that's what it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You never know. You never, ever know.
Because if somebody wants to take him out, they want you to see it. They want you to know.
It's a statement to the whole world. Yep.
It is a statement that he was nothing. And that is what they would want to do. So, it's scary. You see, if he doesn't go out in public and do it, he's chicken. That's what they'll say. Well, he was afraid, If he does, he is very vulnerable no matter what you say.
Well, I don't know. We are less than a week away. I've looked forward to this week for a long time because every day with this fathead in the White House that we have right now, has been hard to take if you are somebody who trusts in the basics and the Constitution. We have, in my opinion, Joe Biden is a socialist. That's my opinion. He's a socialist. He's allowed, and I will never, to my dying day, I will never understand how letting the border collapse like he allowed isn't a crime. I mean, we have laws saying that you can't come into this country illegally. So if you knock the wall down, essentially, I mean, you make the wall insignificant, and you allow these strangers to come across the border with no repercussion. As a matter of fact, you actually help them when they get here. You will fly them to different parts of the country and give them food and make it very attractive. Isn't that a crime? Isn't that aiding and abetting in a crime?
I don't even think so.
So shouldn't he go to jail for what he did? Yet he's going to be saluted as a wonderful former president.
Trust me, the day that he is out of office and Trump is sworn in, they will be sitting there talking about what a great man he was. And look at all the great things he did. The economy is so great since he's been in. Hell, every report that they've released in the past 4 years within weeks was debunked. And they were talking to the feds going, we got to lower the interest rates. We got to lower the interest rates. And then they came out, well, not after the job report that just came out that we added hundreds of thousands of jobs in the past month. Well, since November. What happened in November? Trump won the election.
Yeah.
Was it Joe Robinette Biden that did it? Or was it the fact that if these numbers are real, that Trump is coming in?
Well, we will find out, I'm sure, I hope, hopefully all of our concerns are for naught, and that everything will go smoothly on Monday, and President Trump will take power and take control of the government, and things will start going the right way. They're already trying to run a wedge between Elon Musk and Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is not in favor of the visas, the H-1 visas, the H-1A visas, and they're trying to say, and maybe Bannon doesn't like Musk. I don't know, but they're trying to make it out like there's a battle going between the two, and Bannon wants to see Musk removed from the aid position that he enjoys right now with President Trump. Well, and I don't think that's a real story here, folks. I think you're going to see a lot of this. Just like you said, you saw they were trying to make it sound like Melania wasn't really going to go to Washington with Trump, a wedge, trying to make a story where there's no story. I think you're going to see a lot of that for the next 4 years from the crappy media that we have. If we've learned anything over the last 4 years, is that we have a real lousy press in this country.
Look, they'll probably bring another E. Jean Carroll out, or she'll come and rear her head again and go for round 3. She lost the first one, got lucky with the second one, and now we're on they'll go another round because it's sexy to her to be in that situation.
Well, I think the people who were trying to give him all that problem. Well, look at Michael Cohen for an example. Michael Cohen came out a couple of days ago, and he just about cried on camera, begging for a pardon from Biden. I'm somebody's son too, he said. I mean, he was groveling for a pardon from Biden, and I, by the way, I wouldn't, if I were Biden, I wouldn't get too crazy about giving him one.
Well, before the podcast, we talked about Jennifer Rubin, who's at the Washington Post, who resigned her position, that's going to work with, who is this guy? Norm Eisen, who I think he's the one that's actually put together some of these impeachment papers there. And his source was the fellow we were just talking about that wants the pardon. And I'm sitting there going, so, they got the band back together to do the same.
When we talked about California giving $50 million to the House or whatever it is in California, giving $50 million to the Democrats to go after Trump. I mean, their priority should be helping to make the country work better and helping the state and to recover from this tragedy. Instead, they're talking about giving this money to go after the president of the United States. I mean, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. And I do think that Trump has got to come down this time with a hammer. Right off the bat, Trump has got to show he's the boss. No trying to be. Trump has this way. He likes to make even his enemies feel comfortable when they're talking and around him. And he smiles. I think this time around, Trump's got to come down with a fist. If they call him a dictator, so be it. But they've got to respect this man, and they got to respect what he believes in, what he stands for, and they won't do it if he's trying to placate the other side. So I think, and hopefully that's how he's going to act this time around. He knows that he doesn't have another. There's no other dance for him. This is it. Anyway,
I understand though it's going to be a hell of a dance, hell of a party, and you got the Trump garbage truck that is going to be in the inauguration.
Yeah, I saw that.
Country legend, music legend Carrie Underwood. I didn't picture her, but she's going to perform at the inauguration, saying she's humbled to answer the call.
Good for her. Good for her. I think that's a good move. Hey, my friend, I want to remind people, if you're looking for a great cup of coffee, I mean, I'm not just talking about a cup of coffee. You want a real good, rich, flavorful cup of coffee. It's Jim and Bill's Right Side Coffee, made from the finest coffee beans you can find. And all you have to do is go to our rightsideshop.com, rightsideshop.com storefront on the internet, and you can buy it right there. And you won't be disappointed. And by the way, the profits from the sale of those packages of coffee, part of it comes to us, not all of it. There's a lot of other people involved with making the coffee. You wouldn't want the coffee that Bill and I made. I mean, you wouldn't want Bill and I going out with Juan Jose and the Border Crossers, picking coffee beans and making No. We have professionals doing all that stuff so that you get a fine, robust cup of coffee.
What are you talking about? My personal brand of coffee, I mean.
Yes.
It was handpicked by monkeys, and
I'm sure it was.
Bags with straws, and never touched by human hands.
Never touched by human hands. Wonderful. Well,
beans, they put it in their mouth, and then they used a straw to put it into the bag.
The good news is that Bill is not our quality control guy. Right Side Coffee, you got to check it out. It's at rightsideshop.com, rightsideshop.com, and we have Juan Jose and the Border Crosses here one more time to sing it.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
And they do such a great job. Great job.
They were shaking their heads at my quality control for my person. That's probably why it didn't work.
Anyway.
Well, you know.
My friend, another show in the can. Anything you want to say before we wrap this one up?
No, I don't think. I think we've said it all. We could say more, but we'll save it for tomorrow. So until then, there's just one thing to say, my friend.
What's that?
Let me put on my cape. Now I'm him. Hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
This is CRN America.